Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Just
Just
Like
like
Us.
us.
I'm your host, Justin Bird. This is my lovely co-host, Letty Zito.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
How you
in.
guys doing out there tonight?
It's
Man,
Friday night.
Friday night.
Just got
Yes.
paid.
Woo! Let's go.
Anyway,
So tonight we are going to be discussing alignment and moving
moving with
with purpose,
purpose,
not
not
pressure,
pressure.
like a diamond. Um, Living with purpose means moving how you want to move, not how life pushes you,
Mm.
right? So, Letty, both her and I have been going through, a lot of changes in the past
Oh,
year,
gosh.
and I mean, up and down, up and down, up and down,
Yeah.
and at times it feels like it could be tough to like just
Mm.
continuously, stick to the plan, so to speak,
Mm.
and sometimes you just want to kind of just take a rest, take a break, and stop, go go go. Does that make sense? Stop, go go go.
Yeah, it made perfect
But
sense.
stop going
Yeah.
all the time. It's a constant pressure.
Mm.
It feels like you have to continuously move and stay motivated, and there's so many factors and things that
Mm.
come into play that can sidetrack you and keep you from
Yeah.
moving with purpose. And so today, this episode is going to be diving into, the fact that when you do move with purpose and not pressure, I feel like there's alignment. That's
Mm.
there's ability to really, have some, a reasoning for things that
Mm.
you're doing, and it's good to stop and smell the roses.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
It
It
is.
really is. It's good to
Yeah.
take a breather every now and then and
Mm.
say it's going to be okay. I think in this day and age, we're constantly under pressure with so many different things, even just like the grocery prices, gas prices, and your everyday just trying to get
Mm.
by. Can be pressure, and then we all know, like, prices have skyrocketed. Things have gone up so much that
Mm.
we get in the hustle bustle, and we've been trained to really, go out and get the money and pay the bills. And I mean, like, if we're on our deathbed, like, that stuff really
Mm.
isn't going to matter. And don't get me wrong, we want to live nice, we want to have nice things, but we really have to be able to stop and take a second for the little things. You know what I mean? I get home, and the first thing this little boy does is, "Daddy," and he comes running to me. And there's going to be a time where he doesn't
Mm.
do that, and it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
I really I want to embrace that, and, and,
Mm.
and, and take these moments in, and just really take it for what it's worth, and not be so rushed, because he's 6 now, but tomorrow he'll be 20.
Mm.
And like I said, it's bittersweet, but I feel like there's time when you just got to stop and just really take a moment and to reflect and take it all in. So
And I think that's how we can figure out whether we're in alignment or not is how it feels to us,
mm,
right? Inside, I know I personally, have to get quiet and still and not have chaos where I'm feeling pressure to make a decision right there on the spot. Not every decision is like a quick decision,
right.
especially when you're talking about your life and how you want to move forward, right? Alignment for me is getting still and quiet and talking to God about, is this in alignment with your will for me? I know what I want to do. I know things that I'd like to do, but I know that a lot in my life it was societal pressure, right? Got to
mm,
get a job, got to support your family, got to, have a nice car, a nice house, got to have all these things. And I got all those things, but my soul wasn't happy.
right.
And so and that can take a while, right? And the way that you're in alignment is that it feels good to you. You don't feel pressure or fear to do something, like you're going to be left behind if you don't do it. Alignment feels good. It feels like there's a rhythm and a flow, right? And when you move towards that, then the next step for you appears, and then the next way to move appears with ease, with a rhythm and a flow, not a like, oh, whoa, sliding down a hill. Although
Right.
sometimes, that is part of it too. I mean, life is sometimes bumpy and full of ups and downs, and but you can get still and get quiet and hear the voice of God for yourself and ask, what is your will for me? What would you have me? How can I best serve, my community or my world or my family? What would you have me do? What do you want me to do? Here's what I want to do, God, but what do you want me to do?
Right.
And I find, like I said, getting still and quiet, going for a walk, a lot of times for me helps me just drown out the noise of the pressure from other people, or
Yeah.
what they think I need to be doing, or how I need to be moving, what I need to be saying, when I need to speak, when I don't need to speak. You know, I can hear God's voice too.
Yeah.
And so can you. Just get quiet enough to hear it. The answer will come to you, and it might not come right away. And then you've got people pressuring you, like, let's go. What are we doing?
Right.
And a lot of times I'm like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But when that time comes, when I know that I'm hearing the voice of God for myself and I can only speak for myself, then when I move, it's a success.
Right. Yeah.
Right. There have been so many obstacles in the last couple years, but when, God met me in that closet at my darkest, most desperate moment, I knew everything. I knew it was going to be okay. I knew that he gave me just enough light to see my way out, and I followed the breadcrumbs, and it was with ease. And then I kind of turned a corner, and it was just one obstacle after another, after another, after another. Like, when do you know that you're out of alignment? When you feel exhausted, when it's no longer bringing you joy, when you don't feel peace. That's how you know you're out
Yeah.
of alignment.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not to say that, we don't face adversity, right? While we're trying to align, sometimes, misalignment can look like you shouldn't do it. So how do you know when to push through or when you are misaligned,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I think burnout is a big indicator of that. Like I said, being exhausted, just not having that joy to keep moving forward in that direction. Like, I know there's things that I do that just light me up, and I look forward to doing them and talking about it. And then there's things that don't. And those are the things that I, don't gravitate towards,
Right. Yeah.
that don't fill my soul, that don't make me happy. There's, got to be this deeper calling for you,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. And then how do you know when you're aligned and when you're not aligned? What does that look like for you?
Well, when you move with purpose, even the hard stuff becomes part of the growth. You know what I mean? It's just I've been having some struggles lately, and I really, sitting with it I'm sitting with it a lot more,
Mm,
and sometimes I think like life is lifing, and typically I'm
mm,
used to going and sufficing or grabbing something to help me, not help me, but hinder me in a sense,
mm,
but what I would think to be, because I'll be honest with you guys, like just having like this the everyday stress of life, um, is it can be heavy, especially
mm,
when you're wanting to better yourself, coming from the mud into making moves, and you want to really strive to do better constantly. So you're putting yourself, under pressure, and it feels like,
mm.
you
That's a,
know,
I like what you said there, right? Sometimes you put yourself under too much pressure. Sometimes you think other people are thinking something and they're not. I mean, you're never stuck, right?
right,
You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself either. Just start, making small moves towards that thing you want, and the doors just start to open.
right, yeah,
But I know for me, there's been things that, we've worked towards, that it just felt like doors shutting in every direction that I
right,
turned,
yeah,
right? So I had to hit the home button, like the reset button, and get really quiet and block out uh, the voices of everyone, including yours,
right,
just everything, so I could hear and get in the word and search for what does God have for me, and it doesn't look like it's, what He has for everybody else, and I'm not going to be left behind, right? You can't miss what God has for you.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like, if I've come this far at 52 and I'm still here, then I'm not done. So, I have that to look forward to. Prayer is huge for me, huge. It is something I do all throughout the day. When I come to a place where, like, what do I do with this? And then I've made some decisions to kind of back myself out of stuff, and it was easy. It was really hard to get there. It just was roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. But as I sat and got quiet with God and started to untangle myself from some things, it was easy. And I feel like that lets me know that I'm in alignment with what I heard God speaking to me, because it came with ease. There was a flow, as I made that first decision, and it was hard. They were difficult decisions. Um, but the next one, the next decision came, and that was easier and easier. It's not like you're not going to have an easy life. We're not going to be problem free, and but I don't think life has to be that hard. And I think sometimes we make it
Yeah. Yeah.
hard by the choices that we make and the
Right.
things
Yeah.
that we do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I just say getting quiet and listening, go for a walk, a journal about it, you know,
Right. Yeah.
um, has been really helpful with seeing what is aligning with me and listening to my body and how it responds to things that I'm involved in or people that I'm
Right.
around.
Yeah.
That helps me know whether I'm in alignment or not.
Yeah, and trust your path, even when it feels slow.
Mm,
Staying
yeah.
aligned means staying strong.
Mm,
Like being consistent. I feel for me is really been key with some of these monumental things that I've been able to achieve. And
definitely.
this year is even there's so many good things to say about this year already. And it's not
Mm,
just about meeting these successful people or being around people that are doing big things.
mm,
It's for me, it's staying aligned with my purpose, and that means not only just staying sober and clean, but also being able to move forward and still progress. And it's not always easy. I really thought that I was mentally
prepared.
stable and, and,
Mm,
and, and, and really strong, and I find sometimes like I need an uplifting sometimes. Sometimes I really just gotta sit with it and soak it up and really try to understand what it is that I'm doing, because it's life can be difficult at times, and difficult meaning you just sometimes I feel a little bit lost at things,
oh
and
yeah.
but also
Oh yeah.
you know um I
Mm,
need to have a mentor and a coach. For being a
mm,
coach, they say, a mentor without a mentor is a hypocrite. So I need to make sure that I'm staying aligned with my purpose, and if I'm going down the path and wanting people to, look up to me
mm,
and follow what I'm doing and be able to teach, then I need to have something that I'm learning from as well. So I'm just keeping these things in mind as I move along in my
mm.
life and this path that I'm taking, making sure that,
Yeah.
I'm staying aligned with my purpose and what I should be doing and want to be doing. And that's giving back. I've taken so much in my life that I can't wait to be able to be in alignment with where I feel like I should and could be, and that's
Mm.
being able to give back.
Yeah, and I would say just, it from my perspective, watching you and how things have, and it's not to say you didn't work for them because you did, but it's also come with some ease. The right people showed up at the right time, and
Right.
when, what do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And some
Mm.
of us take a little bit longer, and that's okay. Like, there's not a rush here. Like I said, I'm a firm believer that if you're still here, you're not done, right? And
Right.
you're
Yeah.
not going to miss what's meant for you because you're the only one that can do it. There's lots of people who may be doing what you're doing, but you're the only one who can do it the way that you do it, that can bring the people that need to be taught or brought, through what you've gone through. And we've both gone through so much in our life. And I think for so many years, right, we had this dependency on substances, right, and to get us through those hard times that and it put us in positions or pushed us towards things that, we were just kind of numb about, and just kind of,
Yeah.
went with the flow, or went with what we thought we were supposed to be doing. And now that we're not doing that, right? It's learning about yourself too, and how you align with your purpose. What is your purpose?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Using when we're using, there's a lot of pressure with that too, you know what I mean, when you're using it, pressure makes you react, but purpose makes you plan and
mm,
take action.
mm,
So when you don't have control over things that you typically would or should, when you have the monkey on your back and you're not constantly chasing, the substance or whatever it is, then I feel like, things are, you're reactive, and
oh
instead of
yeah,
being proactive, you're constantly, having to,
in a state of
react to things,
reaction.
and yeah,
Yeah.
constantly like at disarray, and not functioning in the
Mm,
proper manner. So you're not doing things that you would typically do. And so for me, being completely sober, I wouldn't say completely, because I think that the stimulations from the foods that are in, the chemicals in the foods still give you
mm,
that sense of euphoria, or whatever these chemicals are in this. I can feel it. And so that's the next big step, is to be able to really stop eating these poisons. Because I
mm,
mean, let's face it, in the world right now, I mean, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but there's just so many things that we're taking and putting into our bodies.
mm,
And I'm more aware of this now than ever, because of what I have caused damage to my body, the things I've done to myself. And I talk to my heart, and I talk to my liver, and I
mm,
talk to my kidneys.
yeah.
And I've damaged a lot of my body parts. I've done a lot of
Mm,
damage to them, and wore, like my heart. Like there was a time where I was up for many, many days, and like you can only imagine what these things have done, these poisons have done to my heart and my kidneys and things. So I would really, really like to hope that I'm going to very soon take control of what I'm putting into my body. And it's just such addiction. It's
mm,
so addictive to put, and we don't really think about it on daily, because we want to trust that the people who are making these foods and producing this stuff, they're on the up and up. But a lot of times when you really read these ingredients, like what am I even eating here? You know what I mean? So
mm,
so I think that's the next big step for me, is to really be able to be free of all these chemicals and things that I'm putting in, that I am putting in my body. Nobody's
mm,
forcing me.
right.
There's nobody. If I truly wanted, I could really go, grow our own food. We
Mm,
have the ability to grow our own food and stuff. So, there's a lot of pressure all around us constantly. So, I just want to be mindful that I have a choice. I'm constantly giving choices to myself,
yeah.
and I don't want to feel like I'm pressured to do anything, because at any point I can go left. But we all know in life, it can be a little more daunting than just being able to go left. If you have, struggles and things that you're going through, you're not just going to get up and leave your home because you feel like there's mold in it or something. Like, there's a process so that you and your family can be
Mm,
comfortable doing things. So for me, I think change has always been something that just happened in my life. Change
mm,
always happened, and it was something that happened, to me, not for me. So
right.
now it's like,
Right.
now I have options and choices. So I'm able to be more strategic with how I move
Mm,
and the things that I do. So now that I have
I
more
like that.
control, and,
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be a bit scary, because, you know,
Mm,
I've been locked up a lot. I've been locked up a lot, and so I'm gonna be vulnerable with you guys. Like, I had a thought the other day, like, about being in jail. I was thinking,
mm,
dang, how when you're in jail, you don't have any really any responsibilities. You have three hots and a cot. You have all your meals brought to you, and,
mm,
and and don't get me wrong, like, I am more than happy to be, able to be free. But for some reason, like, it dawned on me, like,
mm,
wow, the mentality of being locked up, it's still
mm,
inside of me. Of, like, it's easy to be locked up. It really is. When you're in jail or prison, it's like
mm,
you don't have the everyday responsibilities. And don't get me wrong, guys, I don't want to confuse anybody and let anybody, misunderstand that I'm
mm,
I'm I'm saying this to say that I had, these thoughts of, like, how easy it is to be in jail or prison as opposed to being out here. But when you're in there, it's the opposite, right? If you guys ever been in jail, for you who haven't, you can only imagine, like, if you were locked
mm,
up, and like how you would feel if you had no control. You know what I mean? But it's just like
yeah.
there's so many responsibilities that we're put ourselves under pressure here outside in the real world. If we didn't want to have the car payments, and the stressful every month having to pay, we wouldn't have to get a car. If we didn't want electricity, we don't
Mm,
get electricity. So that's how people who become homeless are homeless. Are just, and I'm not saying specifically. I'm just saying, like, it's just life. There's just so many pressures around us constantly. So I think moving with purpose and not moving with pressure constantly is it's a daily struggle. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
because I think moving with purpose, like we've said before, right, it feels there's an ease to it. You sort of move into it. It's not like jagged and, you don't feel scattered and like you're all over the
Right.
place. When you're moving with purpose, there's an ease. It feels good to your heart and soul. And, you were talking about what we put into our body, right? But it's also about what we put into our mind, what we're listening to, whether it's the voice in your head or, friends and well meaning, right? Friends, family, even our country, our society, our world, what it's telling us you need to be fulfilled and feel happy. And a lot of times, those things are nice to have. Please, don't misunderstand me. Those
Right.
things are nice to have, but they're not my purpose isn't to gain a bunch of possessions. I have a lot of things, right? And
Too
those
much.
things too much. And those things in of themselves don't make you happy. They're a temporary happiness, right? I'm
Right.
looking for the stage that I'm at in my life is to align. It's to feel fulfilled and purpose and it's helping other people, who are maybe where I was at or who are where I'm at right now. I'm 52 and looking
Good.
looking good, but I'm looking to be aligned with what God has for me, right? I've run the show for so long. I tried to control everything. I tried to control what people would say, how they would say it, and try to control, certain outcomes in my life. It was exhausting. It
Yeah.
was a really exhausting, and that's what led me, to substance because it gave me an out, it gave me a release, it gave me a chance to not be so in control, but to what I thought release control. But you got to be careful who and what, right? You're releasing control too.
Right.
You've got to trust who you're giving that control to, and God is somebody that you know I can release control to, I can surrender to, instead of surrendering to other people's opinions or other people's, thoughts about me or even my own. Sometimes my own thoughts can be my worst enemy. What I think about myself. And so there's a lot of, you know, aligning not just with your purpose, but aligning with a mindset that feels good to you. That
Right.
that's
Yeah.
gonna help guide you to your purpose, I think is really important too.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's why, I feel like sitting with the God of your understanding, right? How you understand him. Is it's really important,
Right.
taking that time out to have a conversation, you know, and just listening to what your heart is telling you, because your mind will start telling you all kinds of things. Go here, go there, go up, go down, and your heart, it guides you. It tells you where to go if you listen,
Yeah. I
and
agree.
you'll find yourself in alignment.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's misalignment, and you've got to you sometimes waiting is not making a quick decision or being so reactive, right? Because I was very much that, like, oh my god, I'm feeling this now, so I have to react to that. But I'm learning to get quiet and see, kind of follow those feelings or those thoughts. Where are they taking me? Why are they here? What are they trying to show me, in the process, and not being moved by what other people are doing.
Right. Yeah.
A,
Yeah.
a lot of times.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And like I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to be able to go into the jails and I get to talk with the inmates and the feedback that I've been getting
Mm,
back from people like on this mission is people are like, wow, that's really amazing, because I don't really, know too many people that are actually going into the jail and doing this. And so I've been in there and I know what it's like on the inside
mm,
and what a difference it would make to just even have the option to get out of your cell, to go listen to somebody and the impact that they may be able to make. And I feel like with my story, the things that I've gone through, the things I've been
mm,
through, the things that I've
yeah.
accomplished, I feel like I can make an impact on several people. And I will say this, that just, in the past like month, I've had several people from this podcast, that have been watching, saying, I'm motivating, and me and Letty both are encouraging, and we're doing things to help people out. Like, one of my a longtime friend just reached out to me yesterday or today, and he said, man, I don't think you understand how many people that you're helping on this,
Mm,
and it made me feel really good.
yeah.
It did, and I was like, and this is somebody who stayed with us before. And I'm learning not to mention names just in case, you know what I mean? I'm learning, so, what I mean, for anybody who I've mentioned your names, and I didn't ask your permission, I apologize. I am learning the hard way, but I know now not to do that. But I'm saying this to say that I had a close friend that
Mm,
reached out today and
mm,
was saying how um, our word and what we're doing is really motivating and helping people out. So, and that's the whole purpose here, is to be able to take what we've got, and put it on a platform like this, and help people out. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And also we're helping ourselves out as well by being able to bring these things up and talk about them on a platform like this. Both of these, I think we're on Instagram and Facebook, or I think both Facebook. But
Mm,
the point is that we're reaching multiple people,
yeah.
and I think this is just the start of something big. And big to me meaning being able to reach more and more people. That's the objective here, is to be able to get our word out, and our word, we're growing every day, so it's an ongoing
It's
process.
evolving. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're
You
constantly
know,
learning, constantly striving,
mm,
going through our own trials and tribulations. But the main thing is that we're showing up, because it's easy to just sit and not do anything. Because don't get me wrong, there's times where it's easier to just to not get dressed up and get on the podcast. But again, we have a purpose, and
mm,
the more we do it, it's like the more feedback we're getting, and the purpose is getting more and more clear. Being able to have alignment and purpose for what we're doing, it just feels good to get up here and be able to and talk, and be able to
yeah.
speak to people, and motivate. And again, sometimes getting up here, I motivate myself. I do.
Right. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Being consistent is really key. And again, these are things, traits that I'm glad to be, using as like trigger habits for me, that are good to be establishing this, like, this healthy, lifestyle that I
Mm,
want. And being
yeah.
consistent is one of those things that I just feel like it's helping me to proceed in the way that I want. I want to move forward. I want to make progress. And I don't want to ever feel like I'm pedaling backwards or being stagnant. Not that that's bad, but in my eyes, I
Mm,
want to constantly learn. I want to be able to
yeah.
learn, so that way I can teach more, because I'm still in the learning phase as
Mm,
well. But I'm also in the mode where I can learn and teach in my life.
exactly. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, so it feels
I
good to be able
agree.
to get up here, and be able to talk to you guys. And I haven't seen anybody join on the live, but it's fine for anybody who. Oh, we got Dana. Good job.
Oh, Dana.
You are
Yeah.
making your dreams come true. That's right. Yes, thank you for that
Thanks,
comment.
Dana.
Because you're right. It is. It's really constantly showing up. And
Mm,
when I sit down and think about it, there's so many talents that I have that I'm really not even utilizing. I can
mm,
draw portraits. I can skate. I can rap. I can play pool. I can dance. And I'm like so good at these things. But at the end of the day, like, I want to be able to be happy with whatever I'm doing. And I'm finding that it's not as easy being happy all the time like I had once
mm,
thought. And I say that to say that sometimes I find there's a bit of struggle in life, where it's like
mm,
some things are just you know, almost inevitable.
mm,
And life can life. And for some reason, I've been feeling it more now than ever. And I think that maybe the substance, or the being sober, maybe that negative side wanting to call me back. And that's not the case here. It's not going to happen. But
mm,
I think that this is typically what people might be going through, that and why people might end up using or something. I was thinking about it yesterday,
yeah.
or earlier this morning, about
Yeah.
how, if my
Mm,
son was to go through depression or feel sad, what can I do to be proactive about helping
mm,
him not go to substance? And it was really, it really had me feeling a certain way, and thinking like, wow, so
mm,
this is what could be going on in my body and my brain. What can I do if my son gets a certain age and he feels depressed and he gets introduced to substance, or
mm,
alcohol, or what am I going to do right now to be proactive? And so, these are thoughts that I'm having, that I want to
yeah.
be a great parent and be able to provide this information before he gets to that point where somebody's going to ask him, hey, you want to try this?
Mm,
And with depression, he may not know what it is, or if hopefully he never gets depression. Hopefully, but again,
yeah.
some of these things are just, they're not something that we can help. physically. I don't think. I don't know, but some people
Mm,
have depression and they're not able to, really do much about it, but just kind of deal with it, from what I know.
mm,
So again, it was just a thought that I had felt like, wow, something to think about for me to really, have something in place or a plan for when this does come about, if it ever
mm,
does, and where he's faced with the thoughts of wanting to, use substance. My son's 6, and there may be a day that comes where he is stressed out or he
mm,
is, depressed, or who knows. But I want to right now be able to, nip it in the bud and be able to start processing things, and potentially dealing with the fact that there may be a time where somebody offers him substance,
mm,
and I want to be prepared for that. I would like to be able to, right now, in my mind, in my healthy state of mind, be
mm,
there for my son. Not that my parents weren't, but I just don't think my parents were fully equipped at that time like I am now. And again, I'm
mm,
not trying to say I'm better than my parents. I'm just saying I like to think that I'm moving in a different manner than my parents were, because both my parents were alcoholics, and they were into substance, and they both smoked. And so I would like to think that now that I am, even just, the not smoking, or even caffeine, like these things are putting about it, these affect us. And I see this with my son, because when he eats sugar,
mm,
it changes the way he moves and the way he acts and the way he reacts. And so I know that the things that we put in our body definitely affect what we do on a
yeah,
daily. So for me, I want to just be able to be there for him to the fullest. And if there's colors in foods and there's
mm,
things that are making, that could potentially be harming him, I want to be proactive with that, and understand that, yeah, these things could be harmful, and
mm,
they could potentially cause depression in this little boy when he gets older. Hey, Mona, how you doing?
yeah.
Love you.
She said, yeah, not better, but more aware, right?
Right.
We're not,
Yeah.
trying to be, I mean, you're in a sense trying to do better than your parents did, right? And that's their goal for us too, is that
Right.
we
Yeah.
do better than
Learn from their
they
mistakes.
did,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I would hope to
And
think, yeah.
yeah, and I think that sometimes, you know, parents get a bad rap. I mean, we have these labels: you're the mom, you're the dad, you're the kid, but I think we play different roles at different times. Sometimes I've played the kid, sometimes I've played the mom, sometimes I've played the dad, and it's it's not always easy. The road is not always clear, but I do know that, alignment comes with clarity. It doesn't come with chaos.
Mm.
Chaos is pressure. It forces you to, just make any decision. Where clarity, you can be, I like what you said, more strategic, right, with your purpose,
Right. Yeah.
and not just, make, and it's freeing to do that. Like surrender, helps you get clear too. It helps you towards your purpose as you surrender and start letting go of even what, you think for yourself, or what you think you should be doing, but start surrendering that, to a power greater than yourself, right?
Right.
Mine is God.
Right.
I look to him. I listen. I pray constantly. And when we know better, we do better.
Right. Yeah.
But my better might not be good for you, or vice versa, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's why it's important to follow your
Your
calling
calling.
and
Yeah.
your purpose and your journey, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we're on two different, journeys. You're going in one direction, I'm going in another, but I mean, our goal is still the same. We're just doing it in different ways,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Right.
And acceptance, I think accepting that, not trying to fit myself into somebody else's mold, or fit myself into somebody else's journey,
Right. Yeah.
because I would do that too. I would say, like, well, maybe I need to be doing this because they're doing that and it's going well for them. And then I would try it, and it would go completely in another direction,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's important to get still and not operate out of chaos, but clarity, clarity of mind. It's
Right. Yeah.
important. And I like to put myself in places where I can hear what I need to hear,
Yes. Absolutely.
and
Yeah. Right.
I'm looking, to hear something that is going to benefit my
Yeah,
spirit,
absolutely. Yes. And
right?
so.
And if it doesn't resonate with me, then it doesn't resonate with me. It wasn't for me. It wasn't
Right.
meant
I
for
like
me to
that.
hear,
Yeah.
you know.
I talked
Um,
with a jail today.
You
again.
did.
I called the jail
Mm,
today again,
nice.
and I just wanted to, just to clarify, what I was my purpose is going to be, and what how this aligns with the
Mm,
inmates and things like that,
yeah.
and the gentleman who I talked to, he's excited when I talk to him, and he's anxious to get me in there too, because again,
Mm,
in the jail systems, you know, and Mona, you probably know all too well, being on dispatch, like
mm,
business is booming. Like people are
mm,
constantly getting in trouble. The jails are constantly full. I just found out today that they're building another jail out here, which is terrible. But I mean, it is
mm.
what it is. Everything's growing so fast out here. But talking to this officer, he mentioned that being able to go in there, he knows it's going to impact people because we talk, and he knows a little bit
Yeah.
about my story. So having just making this call, it kind of like remotivated me.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
just just making sure that um, you were a jailer too. At Mona said, I was a jailer too. Yeah, right. Okay. You know what? That's interesting you say it because I was thinking about how, me being an ex felon and then being able to go in the jails is like, there's still a process that I have to go through
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get in there. It's
Right.
not guaranteed, but I mean, I've been able to get my passport, and like I've been able to do certain things that I haven't had any trouble with. So hopefully things go well because again, being a felon, that kind of sticks with you for
Yeah.
your whole life. But I paid my time. I've done my dues. I paid my dues and done what I needed. So and again, my purpose here is to go inside and talk with these inmates and
Mm,
people that are potentially what's called out when transfer not transferring out but transitioning,
transitioning.
and to be able to really help them and
Mm,
be a motivator, and also to be a mentor to some of them, because some people, they just really need to be reconnected. Some people just need to hear certain things. Some people, they haven't been talked to their
yeah.
children or their kids in a while, just need to hear a little bit of motivation and saying, you know what, why don't you guys just write them, just and expect the worst but prepare for the best things
Mm,
too. Write your kids and see what happens. And there's certain things that I'm not equipped for either. I'm not a therapist, so I want to make sure that I go in there and I'm able to, motivate and talk to them and mentor, but not be in a therapist position.
right.
So there's a lot that I have to be able to take in too, because
Mm-hmm.
going in there, let's face it, I mean, it can be heavy. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of information, because standing in front of this camera is one thing, but actually
Right.
having the physical people there and the
It's a whole
energy,
yeah.
it's going to be a lot different. So, and I'm preparing for that. I can't say
Mm-hmm.
I'm prepared, but I am preparing for that because this is a big move, and I feel like this is my calling. Because not only am I excited, I'm like I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be moving forward
Yeah.
toward, and I just feel excited to be going and being able to give, because I'm gonna crush it in there. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna be able to share my story and let them know, hey, if I'm doing this and I'm able to do this, even in a year. Granted, I've had
Mm,
help, but me and Letty have been together 6 years, and she has really enabled so many things in my life. And stability is like one of the key factors that I feel like has helped drive me to doing the fullest potential that I can do and being me. Because before, I mean, stability for me didn't last more than 2 years.
mm,
Anywhere I was, whatever I did, it was like a 2 year, and then things would fall apart and I'd lose everything. And I've lost everything over and over and over. So I'm just kind of used to constantly moving and constantly having to shift and change. And so having this stability has skyrocketed
mm,
my success. And I'm not saying I'm successful in business, or I'm successful, I feel like, in life, because I've come back full circle to me. I
mm,
finally got to see, both ends of the spectrum of, like, like almost dying, and then coming back, and like I have the choice to really, like,
yeah.
these substances could have killed me. You know what I mean?
Mm,
At any moment could have taken my life, and my liver could have shut down. Like the things that are going on in our bodies,
mm.
like I'm so grateful to have
So
a healthy
grateful.
body. And even though I put my body through so much,
Mm,
stress and trauma, like I'm still here. And I really think that have an attitude of gratitude is taking and
absolutely. Yeah.
carrying me a long way too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, purpose, when we think of purpose, I know I did, it's like doing this one big thing and then you're done, right? I think there's constant purpose, this time and space, you served that purpose, right? And to me, it's always about others, but also serving yourself. When you're getting well and you're healing yourself, you are being of service to a lot of people, to
Right,
your family, to your friends, to
right,
your community, because you're not hurting yourself anymore,
Right.
right? And you send that vibe out wherever you're at, and people notice it. People want to know, what are you doing? And
Right.
how
Yeah.
can I do that too? I was
Right. Yeah.
a teenage mom. I was 15 when I had my first kid. I was divorced. Was on substance for what, from 13 to 50. It's a long
Long time.
time
Yeah.
to be dependent on something. But I'm here to tell you, that you have purpose. Your story matters. What you've been through wasn't for nothing, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
to help other people. That is what I feel like we're all here to do, is
Right. Yeah.
help each other get through this thing called life.
Right. Yeah.
Like
At
Prince said.
Monass.
Oh
At
yes,
Monass. She said, "Are you
I
feeling better, Letty?"
I am Aunt
Good, yeah,
Mona.
because I
Thank
did the
you.
live last
Yeah.
Wednesday, and Lady wasn't there. And let me say, it was so different without Lady. Like, it was super. It was like it was sad.
Oh
I didn't really. I'm
shucks.
serious. Like I was on for like 15 minutes. I'm like, dang, this is super different. Like, what
Mm,
episode are we on right now? 30?
no, we're on. This is 20. If
28, I think, 29.
27.
What's up, Coach Charles is in the
Yeah,
building.
I see
Let's
him.
go, Charles. How you doing, brother? That's family right there, man. Welcome in. Yeah, we're talking about alignment and moving with purpose
Yeah,
and not pressure. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so, and Charles knows, we've been through a lot in the past year, and having so
Mm,
much pressure on you, it can really divert you from where you want to be. I mean,
mm.
when you think you move towards something and there's just so much pressure, it feels like, man, it's just like
You gotta let go.
constantly go, 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 constantly go, 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 and it's just like
Yeah.
it could be heavy, heavy. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And again, like I've been sharing with you guys, like the past few months, I've felt this weird. I don't know if
yeah.
it's depression. I don't know, but I've been feeling it, and
Mm,
sometimes it's so uncomfortable that. But I tell you one thing, I have not had the thought of going and using. I'm staying
mm.
super strong, and by super strong I mean like I don't have that want to go use. Like I haven't had the thoughts. Like I'm still good on caffeine. Like I still read the labels. I went to In and Out today,
Did
and I
you?
made sure I had the lemon, the pink lemonade. And I don't get because I had a Barks root beer, and that Barks root beer is the only root beer that has
Uh,
caffeine. So
wow.
like I'm
Okay.
really really paying attention and being
Mm,
mindful of the things that I'm putting in my body for real, for real. So and don't get me wrong, it's not hard, but sometimes it could be like having to constantly read labels. But again, I'm doing this for me. I'm
right.
doing this for my success. I'm doing this
Right.
for my health because again, I put my body through so much over the past 42
Whew.
years that
Yeah.
it's time to give my body a break. And the next step is to eat healthy, and it's not easy. I had an In-N-Out burger. Boy, I'll tell you, them things are the best burgers in the universe.
They're
You know what I
pretty
mean?
good. I'm
Pretty
not gonna
bomb,
lie.
yeah.
They're
So
pretty good.
and but also at the same time, like again, I put my body through so much. I don't want to be laid up and be like, dang, why didn't I treat you better, heart? Why didn't I
Mm,
treat you better, liver? Why didn't I treat, just thinking of how the body functions. Like, there's so many things that I could do better, and I am by
oh
stopping
yeah.
doing things, by stopping putting these
Mm,
certain things. So I feel like I'm on the right track. And but at the same time, like I was just saying, like having these emotional roller coasters, I'm not
whew.
used to it. I'm
Right.
really used to just consistently being in a good mood, and and granted,
Mm,
sometimes there's times where I get mad or upset, but for the most part, like I feel like I'm pretty healthy, as far as mentally. But I'm
yeah.
telling you, life has been lifing lately. I don't know what to call it or why or what or where in the world
Mm,
or how, but I've had these emotion like roller coasters, and like sometimes I wake up and like for some reason like I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna die, like I'm gonna die someday, and it's like the weirdest feeling.
yeah.
It's uncomfortable,
Mm,
and I'm sitting with it, but it seems like it's been coming more and more, and I don't know
probably.
what it
Yeah.
is. I think maybe I need to really just sit in with like somebody that with no like like a therapist. I want to be able to
Mm,
have the ability to speak with somebody and get in get out of my head. You know what I mean? Because I mean
mm,
I don't know what the case is, but I really want to get down and figure these things out. And so I want to talk to a professional and see if maybe there's something going on. I don't want to take any chemicals. I think I can deal with this stuff on my own, and I feel like I'm strong enough to be able to conquer whatever
mm,
this is going on. So that's just me being transparent and vulnerable. That not
yeah.
every day is like super.
Rainbows and
Yeah,
roses.
but it has been my whole life. But again, I
Mm,
think a lot of that was I was running to substance or alcohol or
mm,
nicotine or caffeine or food, and these things, like put a band-aid on whatever it is. You know what I mean? Going through life, but really, I think that having this sobriety in my life is changing the way my body functions and the way the chemistry is. And
Mm.
so I think I'm just going through some changes that are
Oh,
necessary,
yeah.
and I think that's potentially the substance calling me back. Because if
Mm.
you guys have ever used any kind of substance, like when you're coming down off it, or I mean you're not feeling that whatever it is that you've been putting in your body,
Mm.
it calls you back in this strange way, and it's so easy to go back. Just like, what, again, we drink coffee. That's considered a drug.
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine is considered a drug. It may not be a narcotic, but there's so many people that get their you get their
Mm.
what is that place called, Starbucks.
I
And
love
so
Starbucks.
it's so easy to go and get these things. But I'm saying also to say that I really up until like this past couple months, I figured that life was just good. Life was always good, but now I've been feeling like this weird depression, and I'm like,
Mm.
wow, what is this, and how can I deal with it, and why is it showing up constantly? And so I have all these questions with no answers, and I think it just comes down to me. I need to really just, figure it out and have a professional maybe give me some
Mm.
pointers. I'm not just going to go and take some of these words for what it is, because my
Mm.
body's my body. And so, but life is life, and for the pressures of life, I just feel like keeping motivated, staying strong, continuously showing up. Because again, we just show up for this because for me, I feel like this is my purpose. Being able to give back.
Yeah.
We're really pouring into this podcast because it means something. It feels
Mm.
good, and the responses we're getting, like it's not for naught. It's
Yeah.
not for nothing. People are actually really responding, saying, "Hey," and just imagine when we start really going big and start like putting this out there to the entire world instead of just our friends. Because right now, the people who are seeing this are our friends,
Right.
are our medias, the people who are on
Mm-hmm.
here, Charles, Victor, Aunt Mona.
Dana.
These are the people who are seeing it, Dana. And so, just wait until we get out there. I mean, we're gonna have, a lot more changes to come, but we're learning. This is our learning stage. We're 3 months into it, right? Three
Three
months into it.
months.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Three
I
months
think we're
into
on
it.
episode
Yeah.
30, coming up on 30. So really proud to be here. Extremely excited to be, showing up for myself as well as anybody who's watching.
Mm.
So, again, you guys stay tuned because there's more to come. It's not always going to be just me and Letty. We got guests coming up. I think we're going to get
Yes.
Coach Charles in at some point.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And there's, if anybody's out here watching and you guys do happen to want to jump on this podcast and be a part of this, by all means, let's link up and make it happen. You know what I mean? Get
Yeah.
on here, and let's collaborate. You know what I mean? Because the more the merrier. And you guys have a story that others, believe it or not, most likely want to hear your passion, your side of the story,
Yeah.
what you're going through. Because I didn't realize until just recently how many people were waiting for me to step up.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I know I got my son, I got my daughters, but really, like, there's so many people that have been telling me, like, man, your story is amazing, and by you doing what you're doing, it's enabling me to take those steps too, to do it as well. So,
Yeah.
and that's a purpose right there. That's meaningful. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I'm able to commit to and say, okay, you know what I mean? I feel that. And so for me, showing up for me, I'm also showing up for others.
Right.
So, stepping into my light, and the things that I need to do,
Mm.
it feels right. It feels like this is home. So, for all you guys that are watching, I just want to say thank you guys for being
Yes.
a part
Thank
of
you.
this. It does matter. I mean, just imagine if we had nobody watching, would we
Right.
show up? Probably not. Like, what's the point if we're not
Uh,
making an impact, you know? But again, it
but
feels
you're
good.
making an impact for yourself, and to me,
Yes.
that's the most important thing.
Right.
If I'm showing up for myself and nobody's watching, I'm still going to benefit because it's for me, right? But the beauty of that is when you show up for yourself, you give permission to other people, for other people to show up for themselves, and like it or not, there's always somebody watching.
Right.
There's always somebody watching, whether you're out at the grocery store, they're seeing how you respond or how you react. But give grace, right? Give yourself some grace, give other people grace, because we're all in this together. We're
Right.
all
Yeah.
connected, whether we want to be or not, we
Right.
are.
Yeah.
And you never know when you're out there what a smile. That's
Right.
purpose.
Yeah. You tell us,
That's
like,
purpose.
how many
Purpose
times do
isn't
we do
just,
that?
look at me, I'm on stage and look what I'm doing. Purpose is in those everyday things that nobody sees,
Right. Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
do a lot of behind the scene things that I don't get credit for, and I don't need the credit. I get my reward from what that does to my heart, what that does to my mind when I am giving myself to other people, right? When I'm getting out of my head and taking the time to talk to a stranger, or
Yes.
even when I
See?
worked in customer
Yes.
service,
That's
a
dope.
lot of times I'd get on the phone and I'd have to be like, I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I would get a lot of, "You've helped me so much, and can I talk to you some more?" And I'm like, I really have to, I really have to get
Right.
to
Yeah.
other customers, but you can call me anytime, or even when I'm out there, I don't do it for recognition. That's not where my heart or my intention is at. So I do a lot of things people don't see,
Right.
and I don't come on here and talk about them. And it's okay if you do. I'm that's just not the type of person that I am.
Right.
I enjoy those private moments with people and connecting with their heart, and being able to share with them uh, what I bring to the world, what God has given to me, and I'm able to give that to them and allow them to give to me too, because it's a give
Yeah,
and a
it
take,
is. It is
right?
because we get out into the world, and like Letty, when we first met, like she was so shocked at like me waving at everybody, not just waving, but telling people I love them, and that's just what I do. Like some people might think it's strange or weird, but if you're with me long enough, you're gonna see I tell
Because I
everybody
was
I love
like,
them.
everybody. I mean, I
Everybody,
talk to people too, right? But I
right?
wasn't like, I love you. That wasn't my
That's what I
thing. But
do.
it's what you do, and
Yeah.
I
And
understand
I've
that,
been
right?
doing that for. I didn't realize how. Listen, my aunt Teresa. Shout out to my aunt Teresa. She sent me this photo the other day, and Uncle Vic. This is interesting. She sent me this photo, and it was a clipping of a newspaper clipping that it was me writing Santa Claus. Okay, Auntie Teresa, if you see this, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was a clipping from the newspaper when I was, I think, 3 or 4,
Wow.
and I wrote to Santa. It was typed because it was from the newspaper, but it
Mm,
said, "Dear Santa," and it's like a 4 or 5 year old writing. Maybe it was
mm.
probably like maybe 5 or 6, but it said, "Dear Santa, I want a Nintendo. I want a Nintendo."
Nintendo.
And I love you, Santa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I said
saw
I
it, and
love
I
you.
was
And the
like,
thing was is
he
it made
was
me think
saying it
like,
back
damn, I've been saying
then.
that to people I don't even know since
Yeah,
I was a baby.
yeah,
Like that's like my thing. You
yeah,
know what I mean? So
yeah.
and
That's like your
anybody
signature.
who knows me, like, man, Coach Charles, how many times a day do we talk and you hear me say I love you?
Yeah,
Anybody who's on there, Uncle Victor, anybody who's
yeah.
on there, that's my thing, and I'm good with that because that's
Hmm.
just what I do. Even if especially if I don't know you, I'm saying I love you. I said it at least a dozen times a day
Yeah.
to people. And again, it may be some people may be uncomfortable, but I don't just say it to every single body. But you know what I mean?
Right.
But
But
for the most part, I do.
yeah.
And I'll say it whether it's really warranted or not, which
Mm.
it can be uncomfortable to some people, but my intentions are good. You know what I mean? But it's not like I'm going out and I'm just like, hey, I
I
love
love you.
you. You
I
know what
love
I
you.
mean?
Yeah.
There's an intention behind it, and the whole point is maybe there's people who haven't heard that, but I've also had someone tell me, my husband heard you tell me you love me. You shouldn't say that, and I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and people
So
are entitled to that, right?
and
Like I,
so yeah, so it made me really take a step back and like, okay, you know what I mean? I got to be a little bit more, careful with what I'm saying, but my intentions are good. But the whole point of this is to say, I would rather be loved than hated, but I'd rather be hated than nothing.
mm,
And so for me, it not only helps motivate me as a person because I see people and I want them to know I see them as well.
right.
And so I think the
Yeah.
words are powerful. Saying I love you to somebody is very powerful. But I could see how it could be
Yeah.
misconstrued or taken wrong.
But
I actually said it.
there's so many ways to connect with people, right? It's not just, I think you've got to read the person.
Yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah.
to be able to read the person. I know sometimes like people don't like to be touched, and I'm a very like touchy feely kind of person, and I give great hugs.
She
So if
does.
anyone
Yeah.
needs a hug,
Woo! Air
I'm
hugs.
your girl.
Check it out though. I was in jail, and I told one of the officers because I would hold the prayer, right? I was the one
Mm.
who was doing the prayers at the time, and so I was walking around in the jail and doing some laps, and I had told the cop I loved him, and he called me to the side. He's like, "You can't be saying that. You can't tell." I said, "I can say that. What are you saying? I can't say that. I can say that if I want to. Yeah, no, you ain't gonna shut my
Huh.
mouth. You know what I mean?" But the whole point is he told me that, well, people might get the wrong impression that if you love me, and it was just one of the things like I get that it can make people uncomfortable, but my whole point is I'm not forcing my love on anybody. I'm just saying
Right.
I love you. and then just
Right.
letting you know that hey, I don't need to know you to know that if it was just me and you in this world,
Mm,
literally you would be everything to me. Just think about, can you guys imagine being with just one other person in the world, how important that person would be? Can you
mm,
really just take a second and imagine the person next to you? If this person was the last person and the only person in the world,
mm,
how important would that person be? It don't matter if it's a baby, a
mm,
grandma, whatever the case is. Like, just don't leave my side. Whatever
mm,
you do, please don't leave me, because without you, who am I? I mean,
mm.
we're only, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, we're still God's kids, we're still God's children, but like without somebody to really care for you, like, I think we're just here. You know what I mean? And again, I don't
Mm.
mean to get on the go down a rabbit hole with that, but I just feel like I want people to be treated and feel important as if they were the last person in the
Well,
world.
it's the golden rule, right? I think that most of us grew up with. I know I did, treat others the way
Like,
that
you want to be
you
treated.
want to be
But to
treated.
really do that, I feel like it's so easy to just, you're not that cool. I'm gonna go over here because there's 8 billion people in the world. So it's like, why settle for less and like have to treat everybody as if
But
you're the last
that's,
person? But
yeah, I mean, but that's why there's that golden rule. Treat
others
others, no
like to
matter
want to be
who they are.
treated,
I
right?
was
Yeah,
taught to treat, everybody as good as you want to be treated. Like
right. Yeah,
I'm not any better than, the CEO or, the janitor.
right. Yeah,
Everybody, I like to let people know that, I see them.
right. Yeah,
And, that's how I show my love is, by saying hello or, just giving a smile or taking time out to, talk in the grocery store, whatever it is. I like to make those deep connections
right. Yeah,
with people. I like to get to know what makes them tick and offer myself, in a way that, is helpful to them. I enjoy the conversations that I have with people. Um, and I also enjoy my alone time,
right. Yeah,
my time away from people. That is how I recharge myself,
right.
right?
Yeah,
And then I can come back and pour from my overflow, not
right.
from
Yeah,
an empty cup, right?
yes, absolutely.
So,
Final
um,
thoughts.
that was it.
Okay, final thoughts. So, real strength comes from knowing why you do what you do,
Mm,
not
it's
just
very
reacting to
important.
life's chaos.
Yeah,
You
love
know,
that.
having purpose, living life to the fullest. You know what I
Mm,
mean, and being able to be happy in the process. Again, like I thought happiness was just a give, and like it was just like you were just
mm,
constantly just. I felt like I was happy like my whole life. You know what I mean, and maybe I'm just mistaken and thinking things are all good when they're not. But like lately, I have been really sitting with this, whatever this uncomfortableness in life is about being, this. I don't know what it is. I would say it's either stress or
mm.
depression, but I don't want to label it. I just want to say whatever it is,
Just
it's
is
too
what it
shall
is.
pass. It
It
too shall
will.
pass.
It
And
will.
I'm just glad to have those moments so I can actually really appreciate when it's
Mm,
good. Because again, me and Justin Lee were sick for like 10 days, and as I was sick, I was like, man, this is
yeah.
the sickest I've ever been in my life, and I can't wait to not feel like this. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm glad to have those moments of
Mm.
reflection, because it feels good to be feeling good. It feels
It
good to be
does, of
happy. It feels
course.
good not to
Yeah.
be sick. But when you're sick and you're like, man, whatever's in my body right now, like there's just so many things to be grateful for. There's so many things
Yeah.
that are keeping
Uh,
the blood flowing, the atoms
yeah.
and everything that are like these, like a little universe going on here. There's so many trillions of cells. So it
Yeah.
just, I like to think of the hard times, or the
Mm,
times in pain, in prison or jail or
yeah.
juvenile or wherever I was locked up, of like a moment of serenity, of a time to reflect and not
Mm,
just be like, oh man, I'm sick, poor me, or
yeah.
whatever the case is. I
Yeah.
really like to think that I can reflect on the things I'm going through, negative or positive, and learn from those things and push forward. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
I
So,
agree. And I think we can be happy, right? Even if we don't have that thing that we're looking for
right,
yet, or we haven't come into contact with it. We don't have to be, what people call sad sacks,
right,
but also don't beat up on yourself if you experience a little bit of that, at least for me, being positive Polly all the time, it can be exhausting, especially when there's this other, it seems like this other opposing force inside of you. And it doesn't mean you go out and be mean to everybody, right? It just means you allow yourself the space that you need, right? While you're on this journey, you know, this purpose driven journey,
Yeah, let's
right?
go.
While you're looking for a place to belong, a place to,
Fit in and be
express
yourself, right?
who you are and deliver the gifts that, God has given to you, and also receive from other people the gifts that he's placed in them. Receiving is just as important
Is
as
giving,
giving, in my
yes. And I'm learning
opinion,
that right now too, because
right?
going and be able to
Because
give
I
back
gave,
is,
gave, 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 and I have a hard time sometimes
yeah,
receiving,
yeah.
right? Like, no, I could do that for myself, but
Right, yeah, yeah.
I'm
I'm learning
learning
that too. I
to
am to being able to let
embrace,
people
yeah,
get, because one thing that Letty's mom
mm,
taught me. Let me just say this: that
mm,
she had, she had gifted me some money for my birthday, and I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, you don't have to give me no money. Matter of fact, don't give me no money.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And she's like, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I ain't doing that for you. I'm doing it for me.
right.
And I was like, wow,
It's
okay.
her
And
way to
it
be a
really meant
blessing.
something because I'm like, I didn't think of it like that. I was like 40 at the time. I was 40 years old when she was my
Yeah.
40th birthday. She gave me 50 or $100, something like that. And I'm like, man, you don't have to give me no money. And she's like, nah. And in fact, yesterday I shared a story about um, helping someone in a wheelchair open the
Mm,
door, and he was mad. This dude was super mad at me. And and listen, this is a true story. He had no legs and he had one arm.
mm,
This dude was wheelchairing with one arm, and I helped him with the door, and he was so upset. This dude was like, "Man, don't help me." I'm like, "Wow, man, I'm just helping this dude with the door." But what it made me reflect on was like,
mm,
this dude was like, "Man, don't feel bad for me, because just because you think that I have a disability, just because I got two legs missing and one and only one arm, he looked like he needed help." But the whole point I'm saying this for is because
mm,
you know, I was doing a kind deed, but this gentleman was like, "Don't feel pity for me. I'm
mm.
stronger than you are." You know what I mean? So just because I think I'm
Sometimes,
all
yeah.
healthy and all these things are great for me, there's people who we would think that have every reason in the world to be depressed, upset, mad, angry, that are like, "Man, shoot, you wish you had my the ability of my mindset." You know what I mean? And so it really made me think and
Yeah,
reflect. You
that's
know what I
so
mean? So
good.
so
Yeah,
when your mom had gave me that money, and
I
I
like
said,
that.
and you know what, don't give me the money for my birthday, because I feel like I don't want to go cash this check. She's like,
Mm,
well, I ain't doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. And
yeah.
so being able to accept things now, I'm more open to being, accepting of people's things. Because typically I'm like, let's just face you guys in life. What's up, Mike? How you doing, brother? Um, but in life, it's like if people, okay, I'm just saying in Vegas, if
Mm,
somebody's waving at you, it's like you don't always get the wave back. You know what I mean?
right,
And I say that
right.
like because like what? Wait, what's your angle here? What do you
Yeah.
want? What do you
Well,
what
you
do you what are
never
you really
know
trying
what
to do?
other what
Right.
somebody is going
And that's
through
kind of just like
there. I mean, it's
the life
don't
I
take it
lived. You know what I
personal.
mean?
That's what
But
I've
what I'm saying
learned.
to say is that I'm getting out of that, like, not paranoid, but like the
Mm,
constantly on edge, or like, wondering, what's people's angles. Because again, in prison, it's like
yeah.
you had to have your back against the wall. You know what I
Mm,
mean? You had to make sure that you was protecting yourself, because at any point somebody could come upon you. But we don't have to live like that
mm,
anymore. But again, just having that mentality, and kind of like unscrewing that, and undoing that way of thinking is now like a new lifestyle for me. And I'm like, I'm now able to accept gifts and like not
mm.
feel like, okay, well, what's your purpose? Because don't get
Right.
me wrong, there's just times where people are doing things because they have an ulterior motive,
Ulterior motive.
or a
Yeah.
hidden agenda or something like that. But I'm not here to focus on that. Like if somebody wants to
Mm,
give me a gift, I'm like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? And again, having your mom say that, it really
mm,
taught me something. It really
yeah.
made me think and ponder. Like, sometimes I could be taking somebody's giving their gift away by them giving it to me by saying, no, I'm good on that. You know what I mean? So I had to really think about that. And
Yeah.
so,
Mm,
having the ability to even have those moments to think and reflect on, I feel like I'm gaining. You know what I mean? To be able to process these things, and like, I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I'm learning more and more every day. And don't
yeah.
get me wrong, I'm 42 now, but I'm still learning. I'm constantly
Always.
still learning stuff and pushing forward, because look, I'm at the stage where I'm in the middle of being able to teach and still learning. And I don't think I'm ever going to stop learning, because they
We
say
all have that
once you go
ability.
ripe, you go
Yeah.
rotten, right? Once you go ripe, the only thing you do is fall off the tree and die. You know what I mean? Once you go
Mm.
ripe, you go rotten. So once you think you got it all figured out, bro, I'm telling you. And
Yeah.
I'm not a know-it-all, but I'm just saying,
No.
like, this was something that
Listen.
somebody taught me a long time ago, and I'm like, wow, okay, it makes a lot of sense. So I definitely don't know it all. I don't want to. We're constantly learning, and
Mm,
I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to still be striving, moving
absolutely.
forward, and again, being able to focus on these things for me,
Mm,
you know, um, it helps being able to sit up here and talk to you guys. It says Mike says, it's taken me a long time to realize that not everyone has an angle just being kind. Yes, bro, I got chilled by reading that right now because it's so true.
Mm,
Because again, how we grew up, me and Mike, I'm not gonna put too much information out there, but I've known Mike for several years, and I mean several years. Like we've known each other in since
mm.
we was kids.
Yeah.
Like Mike, I'm not even gonna say where. Mike, can I say where we met? Because I got to start asking people because I don't want to put any information out because you might be doing super good and I don't want to like put out where we were in the past. But me and Mike met, and I won't even say where, but me and Mike have known each other for several years. Yes, we met in juvenile hall. We met in juvenile
Mm,
hall, and Mike, man, we met, and yeah, we was growing up in juvenile hall and in prison,
mm,
and so we were, I wouldn't say at our worst, but we were in our downtime. But we had
mm.
some good times though, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
again, here we are still connected, you
Mm,
know what I mean? And we could say our trials and tribulations through life has brought us here.
mm,
For some reason, I feel like I could cry right now because I'm thinking about all the things that I knew when I was a child with Mike. I think we met when we were like 13, 12,
yeah.
14, 15 at the oldest, and we were in the system. And
Mm,
so, by where I was then and where I'm at now, I mean, I'm still happy. I'm still jovial. I'm still connected to my roots, and
mm.
but I'm also a lot more mature. Obviously, I've grown, but I feel like I'm gonna die someday, and I don't want to die feeling negative or bad. I've
Right.
got so much to live for. You know what I mean?
Mm,
If I knew then what I know now, how different it would be.
mm.
Again, that's kind of cliche, but and he says it's what made us the man we are today.
Yeah.
Yes, and unfortunately, so I want to be able to go impact. I was talking about earlier, Mike, because I'm going to go to the jails. I'm filling out the application to go to the jails and talk to inmates because I feel like if I can give people my side of what I've been through,
Mm,
robbing houses at night, using substance for years and years, being homeless, and like the several things that I've done, and to be able to accomplish where I'm at now, and hopefully I can make an impact on the inmates that are in there and help them to strive to do better without having to go down the road. Because I
mm.
mean, we was in jail and prison for several years of my
Yeah.
life. I was constantly being locked up. And so now that I'm able to be free of substance and all these other things and just be free in life, like I feel like it's my purpose to be able to go and feed
Mm.
the upcoming generations, even the older folks, people that
All
are,
of them.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no, yeah. We can learn from our younger generation, everybody in between, and our older, and vice versa. We can give to all of them too. We have purpose. All of us do. We all feed each other and feed off of each other, and that's how it should be. I'm not here to compete and say I'm better than anybody. I'm just trying to be me, right? And
right,
if
yeah,
that resonates with you, cool. And
right,
if it doesn't, there's someone out there that you do resonate with.
right,
Go where you're appreciated. Go where you're feeling like
yeah,
you're walking in your purpose
yes.
every day,
I feel so
right?
good. Like,
So,
whoo,
and
yes,
and for me, I have been taken advantage of a lot in my life and have been hurt a lot. And so I go into like self preservation mode, self protect. But what I'm realizing is that I think I'm protecting myself and I'm keeping, the bad things away from me, but I'm also keeping some good things
yeah,
away from me. And
right,
so
yeah. Being
I get
always
to keep opening myself up to life and, continue to open myself up, you know,
right, yeah,
and just pray that, God would lead me. You can't go wrong. I believe that everything happens for a reason, whether I bring that on myself or it's brought on, by someone else that I meet, that everything, there's a reason and a season for everything that, we go through. It's not for not. Everything has taught me something about life and something about myself and something about the way I want to move in life. No
right,
matter
yeah,
what life throws at me, I've got to be true to who I am,
right, yeah,
and there are times where I want to be like, ooh, man, but I'm not that type of a person. I don't want to get revenge. I don't want to see anybody, hurt. Sometimes that's just a reaction or a feeling, and then I sit with it and allow myself to heal from it and keep moving forward in the things that I know God has called me to do.
yes,
So,
absolutely, yeah. And Mike's saying, he says, I'm all for it.
Mm.
I'd love to, but I need to get off this paper. I'm assuming you may be on parole or probation, um,
Mm.
and yeah, I get that. You know, and saying you need to hit me up one day when you have time. Absolutely, bro. Like for sure. Like I could even hit you up after this podcast for
And
sure.
then Aaron here,
Oh, hey, what's up, Aaron?
Aaron
Aaron's
said
in
your
the.
mom would be
Oh,
crying.
let's
She would be
go.
so proud of you.
Oh
And I
yes,
tell
I
him this,
agree. Yes, thank you for
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah, Aaron. This was one of my mom's closest friends, and thank you for being a part of this and showing
Mm-hmm.
up. You know, going through these phases that we're going through right now, it feels like I'm gonna go to the jail, you guys. I'm going up to the jail to go. I get to walk into the jail like with pride. I get to go in there.
Mm.
I'm excited, y'all, to
Yeah.
go up to the jail and talk to these inmates. Like you don't even know. Like it's brought me tears because I'm like I can't wait to get in there and walk into the jail and like be on the other
Mm.
side. Like I'm actually gonna go to the jails and be like make it impact, y'all. Like this is such a big deal because
Yeah.
I think it's my calling, you guys. I think it's where I'm supposed to
It
be at.
is.
I've taken
Yeah,
so
it
much,
is.
and for people that know me and they know my story, like I've been in and out of jail and juvenile prison my like for a
Mm.
lot of my life,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna sit here and constantly make that like the front end of like but I feel like I've come so far,
You
and so for
have.
me
Yeah.
to even take the step to want to go to the jail
Mm.
is like that's a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me it shows that I am walking my light, walking the line that I want to walk and be in my purpose. So I'm super
Yeah.
super excited to go up to the
Yeah.
jail, and it's a start. I'll tell you guys one thing. I was at the In and Out Burgers today, and I seen this guy. He had a Washoe County juvenile badge
Uh,
on, and so I walked right up to him. He was getting a drink, and I said, "Hey, I see you got the Washoe County juvenile
mm.
probation on." I said, "Hey, I want to go talk to the juveniles. What do I got to do?" And he said,
Right.
"Yeah, go talk to that lady." But the point was, is I wasn't gonna go talk to the lady because she was eating. I was like, I don't want to disturb her. But the point
Yeah.
was, is I'm making these conscious moves of like proceeding and going forth with like really getting into wanting to go feed you know the people that are in there and hopefully help
Yeah.
them progress out and do better because I know that I can make impact. I've been a leader since I was a young
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah.
I've had people look up to me, and especially for something like this, man, this is my calling, y'all. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, is going up here and impacting the people that need this kind of thing,
Mm.
that can use a
Mm-hmm.
mentor or somebody that's like been through it, that can say, look, man, you guys don't have to go through this like I did. You guys don't have to go through all this. And I'll tell you why. You're going to be my age, and
Mm.
I'll get into it. But I have a program, I have a pamphlet, I have a brochure, and all these things that I'm going to go up there to the jail with. And I'm emotional about it right now
Yeah.
because I know of the impact that I'm about to make to people, and I'm excited. And I know my mom would be very proud of me. Mom, I love
Mm-hmm.
you. My
Mm-hmm.
mom was dope, man. My mom
Mm.
was amazing. She died right here, and what an amazing woman my mom
Oh.
was. Like the rest of us, I know we've all had some losses in our life, and
Mm.
my
Yeah.
mom would be proud. Yes, Aaron, you are absolutely right.
Yes.
She would be proud. And I
Mm.
think I want to be even more vulnerable. That I think some of the depression or things that I've gone through lately. I was sitting today in my van at work and feeling like a little down, and I think some of it might be from not processing my mom dying. My
Mm.
mom would. She told me this too. She's like, when she was dying, she's like, I
Mm.
know you're gonna probably go through it really rough. It's gonna be
Yeah.
really really hard. So, and we talked about it. How am I gonna feel when she dies? And I'm like, I know it's going to be rough, and it's been 3 years now almost, and,
Mm.
and I haven't
Yeah.
fully dealt with it. I haven't had them gut wrenching cries
Mm.
that those deep stomach, just like really really deep cries that I think are necessary for us to not everybody deals with
Right.
death in
Death
their own
different.
way. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the older I get, the more I find like being able to even have emotions like this is essential. When my son sees it.
I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to know her. I mean, it was a
My mom was
very
dope,
short
dude.
time, but I felt so connected to her, and
Yeah,
she
she was.
accepted me,
She
the
was.
good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, the
They were like best friends. They
conversations
were
that we
super, super
had while
tight.
she was here were just amazing. I said to her, you've lived more life than a lot of people that I know, and I know a lot of people, people who've traveled the world. She stayed in her circle and she lived in different spaces and places, but I saw the impact that this woman made, you know, Aaron and myself, and a lot of other people, just her soul, her heart, what she shared with us was so
She
genuine and
was
so
dope.
authentic, and she was so not judgmental, and she was funny, you
funny.
know,
Yes.
and she made you feel like you mattered
Yeah. She had a way of doing that for
because
sure.
to her you did,
Yeah.
you know, and I really gravitated towards that. I wish I had longer, but I'm thankful, right, for the time that I
Yeah.
got with her, and I know she would be proud
She
of both
would.
of us. We've
She
had,
would.
you know, so
Yeah.
many conversations, and I know that she is, you know, still here with us, and she is somebody that impacted my life
Yeah. Big time. And
greatly.
toward the to tail end of her life,
Mm,
my mom and my mom and Letty got close, but my mom was okay. I'm gonna be even more vulnerable. Like me and my mom bumped heads a lot because
mm,
I felt like my mom was negative a lot. My
yeah.
mom had this way of kind of kind of being, I wouldn't say negative all the time because she was upbeat and positive, but I think since my dad died, my mom was just kind of ready to go. And so,
Mm,
and I'm not speaking for her. I'm just saying like I kind of seen her like swirl downward and just kind of like just take me already, And
mm,
so for me, it was like seeing my mom. It was like she was negative a lot, so we bumped heads. But toward the very end of her life, like my mom was so happy with life. It was like it made me realize, like,
yeah.
you know, uh, we all can change. It don't matter what we've been through in our life. We all have the ability to change. And like I had the most amazing mom. Like of course we all feel the same way. You know what I mean? But I'm blessed
Yeah.
to be who I am. Thank you, mom, for sticking it
Yes.
out with my father. But you know what I
You know,
mean?
and I
Life's
mean, and
good.
just in talking about purpose, you know, Aaron said, Letty, you are a huge part
Part.
of everything and you have found your purpose. And my purpose has always been since I was a little kid. People always looked up to me. People always depended on me for that stability, for that reliability, for that security to help them change their life, right?
Right. Yeah.
And at this season in my life, that's still something that I want to do. Like I was thinking about it the other night myself, like just thinking about where you were at when I met you,
Right.
or other people in my
Woo!
life who've come into my
Just coming
life
out of
who
jail.
were in a bad way, that I was able to give them that stability and help them turn their life around. You
Yeah.
have turned
For real,
your
huh?
life around in a way that's what gives me joy. That's what I love to see, right? Is people turn their life around. And I'm able to be a part of that for so many people. And I
Yeah.
have been able to, and now it's my turn, right, to be that for myself too, and still continue to be that for other people. But I'm trying to, I'm figuring out, what does that look like for me? How do I be that for me?
Right. Yeah.
Right, this go around and still continue. Obviously, that brings me joy when I see other people, the light bulb goes off on
Right.
them, and or
Yes.
for them, and
Woo!
see them, like, you've done so much from
Yeah.
that day when you came in with just a bag. You know what I mean?
Right. I
Sleeping
graduated
on
college.
somebody's, floor,
Right. Yeah.
to here
Right.
we
Yeah.
are,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I got to be a part of that.
Yeah, a
I
major
I
part of it. Like you helped me through college, getting my rope. I got my robotics degree. I got a robotics degree for reals. And like Letty
yeah.
held the fort down, kept Justin, and made sure everything was safe, and we were good at home, cooked meals. And like she's seen the transition, the transformation, the total 360 or 180 is it, and
Whatever.
how much I have changed from where I was at,
Mm,
and even been through the whole process of being there through substance, and both of us progressing out from that, and like just the
yeah.
whole 6 years has been nothing short of epic and amazing. You know what I mean? And we have had our ups and downs,
Mm,
but overall, like having our
yeah.
consistency has been key. Having each other, whether we're
Mm,
going through what we're going through, or smooth sailing, we've always been able to look back, and being able to have each other, and I find that to be super super amazing. You know what I mean? This is the most stability I've ever had in my life. And again, going into jails and prisons, like I lost everything several times over, and
mm,
the stability here is I've never really been used to this. So I'm extremely proud to say that me and Letty have been together 6 years,
mhm.
and we've gone through a lot. You know what I mean? But we're staying consistent, and again, showing up. This is where it's at for me. You know what I mean? This is where it's at, and I'm glad to be here with you guys. Um, thank you guys for being a part of this. And we're gonna
Yes,
continue
thank
doing
you.
this, right? We're
Yes,
gonna
we
continue doing this
are.
because I
Yeah.
had to check, bro. I'm just
I
saying,
was like,
making
listen, I
sure. You
didn't
know what I
want to do this
mean?
tonight
She did. She was
because
down.
I've been down, right? I'm figuring life out. I've never been in this position before where I haven't had like, a job and something to go do, and things are like, I don't really want to do that, and that's not really what I'm going to do. That,
Right.
and I'm like, but I do know what lights me up is helping other people. That is what lights
Right.
me
Yeah.
up, and so I know, that God,
Consistency.
God is right, and I'm consistently
Yeah.
showing up for
We're
myself. Like I
consistently
said,
matching too.
I'm,
Y'all see these
yeah,
outfits, bro? I'm just saying, look, we match
uh,
like, you know what I mean? Like we yeah. We woke up like this. Look, we match perfectly. I'm
yeah.
just saying, like, hey, I love feeling good. It feels good to show
It
up like this,
does,
though. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because just the aesthetics
Mm,
of it, it feels good to look good, and it looks good to feel good.
right.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
I was like, I had to let that soak in
But
for a second.
yeah,
But I am so glad that I did, show up, that I didn't listen to my head. My heart was like, do it.
do
Just
what?
do it. Come on here tonight.
Oh, tonight, yeah,
Because
because
I was almost like, you know what? I don't want to do this, Justin.
and I was like,
I'm
you
so
guys, like,
down
what am I
right
gonna
now.
do
Like,
without her?
what could
What
I
am I gonna do?
possibly
Like,
bring?
look how amazing
But,
my bad.
but here I am. I showed up, and just the energy and the love, that I feel from everybody, and you all know who you are, who've played a pivotal part in my life when I was down and out, and now I'm needing someone to like lean on, and be there for me and show up for me also the way that I've shown up for other people.
Right, yeah,
And it's about me allowing, like I said, other people to be gifts to me as well as I've
right,
been gifts to them.
right,
And
yeah.
so
And as far as like
yeah.
Letty's used to being the provider, being the person who holds the fort down. Like her house is where the family comes. When the family comes from out of town, guess what? They come here. You know what I mean? So having the consistent, like always being the person who's so with we had this agreement not too long ago, and it
Mm,
was like, um, we you go ahead and stay home with Justin. I'll work. You know, what I mean, I make enough to where I can hold the fort down, and we can function like that. And so that's what we've been doing. And so I know it's got to
it's
be difficult for Letty because having somebody else take, you know what I mean, the bull by the horns and say, okay, I've got this, I'm going to do this. But it's really been both of us working together because she pays all the bills. She's the one that she pays all of the bills, and she's like, if I give her the money, you do this, I don't want to pay the bills. So we iron sharpens iron. So
uh,
she stays home with the little boy. He's taken care of. All the bills are taken care of. So it's working. But I'm sure it's been difficult to have somebody who's usually the provider, the person that's like,
mm,
and you got,
it has
say
been,
so, and like
not gonna
control.
lie.
You know, what I mean, it'd be difficult. But again, like both of us working consistently together has been able to provide us with the structure
Mm,
that we have right now. And I think it's pretty amazing. You know what I mean? Again, this is the first time in my life I've ever had this much structure, and it feels good. I know that there's going to be a house when I come home. I know that there's gonna be food in the fridge. I know that, and these things like the things that we take for granted, y'all is like,
mm.
I'm really appreciative of these things, especially the damn light switch. Y'all don't even understand how important
Right,
the light
yeah.
switch is. I'm dead serious. When we became from homeless, and I
Mm.
was the first one to hit that light switch. Whoo! I was what 14 years old, having a set, just a young mother. And I hit the light switch, and I tell you what, it was unlike anything else. I mean, we was in a van for 2 years, y'all. We
Yeah,
lived in a
it's
van, five of us in the van, and it was constantly being around my parents. I swear I don't hate anybody, but I hated my parents, bro. I was like, man, I couldn't stand being around my parents because we didn't have phones at the time, so there
mm.
was no going out and going to the skating rink or something like that. If you get lost, you get lost, and
Right.
you're gonna find your kids at the jail or the juvenile or something like that. So they didn't let us go
Uh,
out, so we were constantly cramped up in this van.
yeah.
But when we finally got our first little trailer, I hit that light switch, and I'll tell you what, it was the most amazing feeling like you guys would never have imagined unless you don't have that and
Mm.
you don't have electricity. We didn't have electricity in our van. I mean, we had the headlights, but you know,
Right.
me, you're constantly using a flashlight or a candle. And then when we finally got that little baby bathroom, I call it the bathroom for a bedroom that all three of us shared. I hit that light switch. I remember flicking it with my thumb too. I went
Mm.
flick that mug on. I was like, wow. I swear I was crying
Yeah.
inside like, what? Like a light switch, how epic is that? So
Mm.
I'm just saying, for me, I've come a long way. I'm really appreciative that we grew up in the hole, and we grew up homeless, and
Mm.
the things that we have, because that built who I am today.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to, you know what I mean, to just kind of like, just like be a scapegoat for anything. I'm saying for me, this has helped
Mm.
me to structure who I am today. I can appreciate things that maybe I wouldn't have if we grew up with
Right.
money. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
and I'm really
knows?
appreciative of the little things too. You know what I mean? Having somebody like Letty, like when she didn't come on Wednesday, it was like I was like lonely. You know what I mean? I was like, dang, this
So
is kind of weird without her. You know what I
lonely.
mean? So, I'm really glad to have somebody who's got my back,
Oh,
the front, the side, like some hydraulics. Zoom, zoom, zoom. You know what I mean? We really complement each other
yeah.
in a major way. This is by far the longest podcast we've had, but I think we're really getting into this and feeling it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Sonia, our sister Sonia
yeah.
Ashford.
Woo! Hey, speaking of
Sonia.
which, I think I gotta go right now. We got
Oh,
the challenge right now.
oh,
But look,
yeah.
God,
But we are so
that was a
appreciative
test.
of
Yes.
you,
What's up, family?
tuning in and,
Commenting, that this
commenting,
means a lot. The comments are
showing
what
us
helps too.
love. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
showing us
They do,
love,
because now we
you
can
know.
actually talk to you guys back.
Yeah,
There was for several couple months where we weren't able to see you guys'
yeah,
comments, so now I'm all excited. I see a comment, I'm like, you can see me squinting. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, let's go.
yeah.
So Aaron, shout out to Aaron and
Yes,
everybody who
Aaron,
was
love
part of this.
you.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you
Wednesdays and
so
Fridays, we're
much.
gonna consistently show up. And again,
Yes.
if she decides not to, like, I don't know, you guys, you need to give me some pointers on what I need to do. If Lady
I'm
decides not to
here.
show
I
up,
am
you know what
here. I
I
made
mean?
it.
Right? But if for some reason if there's
Grace.
not one of us here, I'm gonna have to pull somebody up with me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Oh, share it on my page too. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We love you guys. I gotta head out.
Yes.
I'm a
Love
captain within
you.
the challenge over here, and
Love
hey, life is
you.
gonna life. But no matter what, even under pressure, just make sure you're living your purpose, and
Yes.
whatever that means for
Keep
you. You
looking
know what I
to
mean?
your purpose.
Live your life
Yeah.
how you want to live it, man. You know what I mean? And life is life, but man, I'll tell you what, we have every opportunity to do what we want. There's nobody gonna stop me but me. Ain't nobody
Mm.
pulling me away from what I could or would be doing but me. And I just want to keep that, at the forefront of where I'm headed. I love you guys. Thank you
Yes.
for
Love
being a
you.
part of this. And until next time, we'll see y'all soon. Love you guys.
Peace.
Peace. Yeah. Thank you guys. Love you. That was dope. That was dope. That was dope.